So I want to turn again to Peter Block, because one of the reasons that we have trouble getting people involved in congregational life is because we don't know how to invite them. And Peter Block has some brilliant ideas, and this really does work.
What's Peter's email address?
I should have said this earlier, but I do the jokes. So Block says it begins with the invitation. He says that the anxiety of invitation is that if we give people a choice, they might not show up. Isn't that true? It's difficult to face the reality of their absence, reservations, passivity, or indifference. We don't want to face the prospect that we, or a few of us, may be alone in the future we want to pursue. I've taken my turn at heading up the annual fund drive in my congregation, and there's nothing more demoralizing when you can't get anybody to work with you. You begin to wonder whether or not the future that you're imagining is somehow out of sync with the rest of the congregation. So Block says an invitation is the means through which hospitality and community are created. It is an act of generosity to invite someone, a call to create an alternative future, to join in the possibility that we have created. In an authentic community, members decide anew every single time whether to show up. If they do not choose to show up, there are no consequences. They are always welcome. He says that invitation is not only a step in bringing people together, it is also a fundamental way of being in community. And genuine invitation changes our relationship with others, for we come to them as equals. I must be willing to take no for an answer without resorting to various forms of persuasion. For all the agony of a volunteer effort, you are ultimately rewarded by being in the room with people who are up to something larger than their immediate self-interest. You are constantly in the room with people who want to be there. So, here are some suggestions for how to make the invitation. And I know we don't follow scripts, but consider these guidelines. Number one is to name the possibility. The invitation is activated by the possibility that we are committed to, and the possibility is the future that the convener of this group is committed to. So in general, I invite you into the possibility of a congregation that is vital, healthy, and thriving. If I ask you to join the choir, I invite you into the possibility of creating beautiful music that will transform the lives of the people who hear us. And you can use those phrases for any volunteer effort in your congregation. You're inviting them into a future possibility. Number two, frame the choice. Again, the invitation must allow room for a no. I'm pretty shy when it comes. I'm really bad at cold calls, but I really took this to heart, and I can do it now because I approach people, whether it's on the phone or in person. I approach them with the understanding that they have the opportunity to say no, and that's okay. We need to be clear that we will not initiate consequences for not attending, and that we respect someone's decision not to attend. We also need to let them know that even if they say no now, they will always be welcome in the future. 3, name the hurdle. The invitation is not only an invitation to show up, but to engage. We need to tell people explicitly what is expected of them, should they choose to attend. And what is expected of them is not to take on a specific task at first, but to make a commitment to the process and the outcome, to give their ideas, to accept the ideas of others, and to make the time for this to work. Paradoxically, even though there is no cost for refusal, there is a price for coming. Everything that has value comes with a cost. Number 4, reinforce the request. End the invitation by telling people that you want them to come, and that if they choose not to attend, they will be missed, but they won't be forgotten. And then finally, make it personal. A visit is more personal than a phone call. A phone call is more personal than a letter, and a letter is more personal than an email. One of the things that I tell congregations who come to me and say we're really, really overwhelmed is the first thing I ask them is to consider, is the congregation doing too much? And one of the principles that I ask them to follow is something called GINE, G-I-N-E, good idea, no energy. We have trouble saying no. And our policy should be if someone comes and says, I've got a great idea, here's what you guys should do.
Yeah.
You don't move forward unless 2 or 3 or 4 or fill in the blank people are willing to invest time in it. If not, that's a really good idea, but there's no energy. We're not going to do it. So in my home congregation, and Jody is one of the people who led this effort, we're currently working on a program that we call Growth Through Service. And we're still putting the final touches on it, so it's not anything that I can share yet. But it's a large effort to get people to talk about their journey, their spiritual journey, and then to fold that into what they want to do in order to continue their spiritual journey through ministry to the church. We've got online stuff, and people can go online, and we have we have hour-long conversations with people before we ask them to go online and consider what they might want to do. It's a whole Megillah, and I don't have time to go into it. But I do want to share our statement of theological grounding because I'm really proud of it, and I think that it is the underpinning for whatever you may do to motivate people to get more involved in congregational life. So this is our statement of theological grounding, the U Church of Delaware County. As Unitarian Universalists, we live out our faith through our service to others. True spiritual growth in ourselves and in our congregation arises in part through our connectedness with others and through serving a higher purpose that is greater than our own individual needs. In this context, service to our church community becomes a sacred experience, one in which our relationships are defined by a sense of caring, respect, commitment, and responsibility. This underlies everything that we do in our Growth Through Service program, and it really should be the foundation for everything that you do.